I've been using the Gemini CLI for the last few days in my development workflow, and I have been loving it. So I'm going to show you how I've been using this, some of the features that I love, some of the problems with it, and I'm going to do this with a real world example. I'm going to be building out a feature for my MCP server and also fixing a bug, building out a bit of documentation, and I'm going to be doing this stuff concurrently. So I'll show you how I've been using this tool. You can find installation instructions on GitHub, and this tool looks suspiciously close to Claude code. It's almost like Google saw what Anthropic did and just copied it exactly. Anyway, you can go ahead and install it with this command here. That's what I did to install it globally on my system, and then I can just run Gemini in order to launch it. And I'm not paying for this. I didn't use my Gemini API key. I just authenticated with my Google account, which gives me up to 1,000 requests per day. So after you've installed it, you can run Gemini in order to launch this thing. And you can ask for some help. The first time you run this, it's gonna ask you for your theme. So I can type theme right here, and then I can go ahead and pick something. Let's do this Dracula one. Now, I've actually loaded this in a project. So I'm using Tmux, and that's how I like to use Gemini and develop in general. But if I open up a new pane down here, this is the same project we're in, random number MCP. So over in Gemini, I can type !, and that puts me into this shell mode. So now if I type ls, it's not sending this through the model. It's going to be executing this as like a shell command. I can do this tree command, and I can just do L2. And so I have this folder inside of source, so I could dig into that. Okay, so this is what we're going to be building, or we're going to be working on this random number MCP Python library. And so now I can type ! again, and I've returned, and I'm back in agent mode. So what I might want to do, I have a few ideas of things that I want to build in here, but to get started, I could say something like read the README file to understand the project, and then wait for further instruction. So when I fire that off, Gemini starts outputting some of its thoughts. It worked almost immediately. So before we start working on this, I need to explain how this MCP server works with a quick demonstration. By the way, I've created this, and I would really appreciate it if you came in here and give me a star on GitHub. That'll help promote this project and get people using it. And I think it's a really, really useful tool. So let me demonstrate how it works. I have access to this because I've installed it in Claude Code. And so I have access to random int, random shuffle, random floats, and so on. So I could say something like roll a d20, and this will roll a dice, but it's going to be using my server. So now I've gone ahead and rolled between 1 and 20, and the response was 12, and so the model synthesized a 12. But I could ask something like more complicated. One thing I could say is like, well, what should I listen to? And give it some options. And now it's going to use a different tool, and the tool it should use is this random choices tool. You can see it's gone ahead and called that with some population, and with pick one out of this population and use certain weights. And that's what my server enables language models to do. However, there's a bug here, and so I will demonstrate that bug. And the weights is being passed in as a string. You see this? It keeps passing in a string instead of a list of numbers. And it keeps giving me an error, like, oh, input validation, it should be a list. This is a string. This should be a list of floats or integers. So I'm going to see if Gemini can help me fix this error, and I'm going to do a few other things as well. So I'll get to Gemini in just a second, but I would really love it if you could actually install this and try it out. And let me know what you think. You can submit issues if you find bugs, and you can, as I mentioned, give it a star in order to support me and my channel and the work I'm doing here. Thanks for sticking with me so far. This is going to be the exciting part of the video. And what I want to do is do 3 separate tasks. The first is this validation error that I was showing you just a second ago. Then I have a couple other tasks that I have in mind. And so I'm going to show you how I handle this kind of to-do list with Gemini. So here I'm in my working directory, and the first thing I want to do is spawn one instance of Gemini to get started on my very first task. So coming back to Claude over here, this was the error we were getting. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to want access to this. And I'm just going to say the user is getting an error with validation. And because I've looked into this, I know where the error is happening, and it's happening in this server file. So if I start typing server, I can pull that up and I can press enter. And this is going to attach that file into the context specifically, right? But of course, Gemini is welcome to, it's like a coding agent, right? So it can read anything it wants in your working directory. Now, I can type this backslash, and that allows me to do a new line. If I just press enter, it's going to fire this off. But if I type backslash first, I can type enter. So I like to do that. And I'm going to say, okay, I want to accept a string as input in case the user tries to do that, and then convert it to a list. I don't know, in the app, whatever, something like that. So this is my request, and now Gemini can get to work on this. Now I'm not going to do something crazy yet and like come down here and be like, now let's start working on the next. That is what I want to do, but let's just pay attention and see what's happening up here. So we're getting these little thinking, okay, so finally it's gone ahead and output some stuff for us. Let's have a look. So it's saying, okay, I can help with that. First thing it wants to do is edit this file, and it's sort of trying to use this AST library, which is really weird. I have no idea why it would try and do that. But anyway, I don't really care what it's trying to do. And in general, what I want to do is just always allow it to make edits. Because yeah, that's what I just want it to kind of go off, try its best thing, and then I'll see what it's done for me. And it probably won't take too much longer, seeing like it's gone ahead and done this. It's using this AST to do this literal eval. So I definitely don't want to be literally evaluating any code the language model tries to. Like, that's crazy to me. Okay, so let me show you for the purposes of demonstration. I'll just open up a new window over here, and we're going to look at our changes. And so we can see changes in server right here with my get signs. So the first thing it's done is it's like, okay, now we can have a string as well. That's cool. I definitely want to do that. Leader HD. So before we were taking weights, which were this kind of list of integer or float, and now it's a list of integer or float, or it's a string. That's what it's done. But this is the part I don't like. It's like doing this literal eval. I want to use JSON and just load this as a JSON object. I don't want to like literally evaluate anything. This is a really bad idea. Okay, so let's go ahead and give some more feedback on this. Don't use AST. Use JSON. So at this point, I feel like I'm ready to like start in on my next task. I've got this going, right? But it might be tempting to be like, okay, now start building out documentation. However, this building out the documentation, it's like a totally separate thing. I don't want it to affect the context of what we're doing on the left, because I might want to keep working on this handling Claude error feature later. And in fact, I will, and I'll show you that. So I want to open up a new instance of this to work on a different idea. And the thing I want to do here is to build out the documentation for being able to run this app locally using UV with Claude desktop for this tool. Okay, so then I want to show it an example, and I've got like an example ready here. So this is the type of thing I want to add to my README. So I can paste that in, and this will get working on that. The point really being is that these are separate tasks, separate contexts. The third thing I want to do is add this random sample function. So what I would do is then I'd get a third instance going. So I'm going to open up Gemini here. I'll just hop over. I'm going to allow that. Okay, so the third thing is to add random sampling. So I'm going to say add random sampling tool with, and I'm going to say in brackets, like without replacement, because we have one with replacement right now. Using random.sample from the Python standard library. Okay, at this point, we're going pretty hard with Gemini, having a great time. Work is awesome. And this has happened. Slow response times detected. Automatically switching from Gemini 2.5 Pro to Gemini 2.5 Flash, which is kind of the analogous thing of being like, oh, we had this professional senior developer working on your task in their deep work phase of the morning, but we've handed it off to this like first year computer science grad who's super keen but also just smoked a the point being is that that's a problem when that starts to happen, because now the quality of what Gemini might do for us really goes down. Okay, so there's a lot that's been going on. Let me clear everything out and let's just have a look at what it's done for us. Okay, so one thing at a time. The first feature we were looking to do was update this weights. So it's done that. We're now accepting a string. And if it is a string, it's loading it as a JSON object. We want some sort of line in here to do, like, to raise an error if this doesn't go right. So let's see. Raise an error if there's a problem with the JSON.loads. And you can see now, like, the reason for having these separate contexts, right? Because this guy here was working on that task. So now I can just ask things specific to that task. So meanwhile, let's go back and let's try and see the other task that we were working on. And that was this sort of random, well, what were we trying to do? We were trying to get a new tool, right? So it was in the tools section. It was this one. We asked for this random sampling tool. And what I notice here is, like, we've added the random sampling to this tools file, but we haven't actually sourced this up into the server file. So what I want to do is make sure it does that. So let's go to find the right chat, and that's this one here. And I'm going to say source this tool up in the server file for users. And again, like, this, you know, this instance of Gemini has the right context in order to do that. And you can see it's already made the change. It's Flash, right? So it's super fast, even though it's kind of dumb. So now it's trying to run a shell command. This is not going to work because it's not using UV. So I'm going to escape that, and now I'm going to say, like, okay, try that shell command again, but use UV as my environment. Refer to the README for instructions and testing you can do. So really trying to hold this model's hand. And so it's figured it out. It's like, oh, I got to do UV run. Okay, cool. So I can say run always. And now it's going to run any sort of shell command like this. And it's gone ahead and run this PyTest one as well. That's pretty cool. And so it's validating based on the results. Looks like we're passing. So it looks like it's done a pretty good job for us. And coming over here, we can take a look at our tests, and we see that we've got some new tests somewhere down here. So we've got this test random sample, and Gemini's gone out and built out, like, a whole test suite for this new random sampling tool that we have available. So the last thing I want to show you is I'm just going to test these changes. So I asked for this update to my README file, and that was right here what it's done, and it's kind of given me this here. This looks good to me. This is what I want to do. So what I'm going to do is grab this, and I'm going to install this into my Claude code, and we're gonna try this out. Okay, so let's go over to Claude code, and I'm going to try the new changes and see if it fixed it. So I'll go to developer, and I'm going to click edit config, hop in here, and we're going to install our new server. So I'll just paste this right into here. And there's one little gotcha on my computer. I've got to do this. So I'm going to put that full path. I also have to put the full path to the working code. So this is for running this locally. Like, I want to run the local code, the thing that I've just changed. This is for running it on PyPI. So this pulls the code that I've uploaded to the internet, and you can run this on your computer. But this is for development purposes. This is going to be for me testing it. So both of these are installed now in Claude. And so what I can do is I can exit out of Claude like this and bring it back. And now we can test out these new changes. So if I, by the way, I want to test this command. So I'm going to copy that, do a new chat here. And looking at my tools, I now have access to random number dev and random number. I'm going to make sure I disable random number because I want to make sure I'm only calling these new tools that we've developed. And you can see there's random sample. This is a brand new function. That's the new thing that Gemini just built for us. So the first thing I'll just try is this one that we were having a problem with. We want to pick a random music to listen to with specific weights. Okay, so you can see Claude doing the same thing. It's passed in a string. right here. It's passed in a string of numbers. Again, it keeps doing that. But now we get a proper response because we've implemented this into our app. So we're no longer getting that error. All right, I'm pretty psyched about that. Next, I just want to check this random number dev. I want to try and trigger this random sampling function. So this is going to be like random sampling without replacement. I've been meaning to meditate more, but I can never pick the right time. So you need to pick it for me. Pick 2 random days of the week and tell me what time I should meditate. So the point is, I don't want to pick the same day twice. So we're going to hopefully, here I'm using the random sample and we're picking 2 random samples. And so that's the new tool that I just wrote. Let's go ahead and picking that up. Ooh, looks like it's doing some additional random decision making, probably for the time of day that it's going to tell me to meditate. And it's getting a bunch of different times. I don't really know what it's doing. Okay, I've randomly chosen meditation times. 6:13 a.m. on Thursday and 9:17 p.m. on Saturday. Great. Like, let's go. Yeah, nice. So all of these random integers were how it was getting these random times. If you like this video, I'm making a lot of content on MCP this summer, and I teach AI engineering here on YouTube. You can sign up for my weekly newsletter in order to get updated every time I upload a new video. I just send one of these videos a week with whatever I'm up to. And the latest thing I've done is built this course called the AI Engineer Roadmap, where I teach all of the foundational skills required to become an AI engineer. And there's lots of advanced, interesting stuff in here too. Like I have a few new lessons on MCP, or I got some lessons on agentic architecture and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of value in this course, and I think you'll really enjoy it if you check this out. Thank you for watching, and if you've got this far, you've got to do 2 things for me. The first thing you got to do is leave me a like, because if you got this far in this video, I'm assuming you enjoy this content. I'd love for you to subscribe, but even better, I would like for you to leave me a comment and let me know how you're using Gemini, and in particular, how you're using it alongside other AI tools. For example, if you tell me that Gemini is really good at sort of one set of tasks, but then Cursor is your go-to for like this other category of work, I'd be really interested to hear what that is for you. I definitely use Cursor a lot, and for me, that's my go-to, gotta get shit done, like will do a good job, reliable kind of model. So I've got a whole video on how I use Cursor and NeoVim, and if you like this one, I think you'll like that video as well. So I'll leave a link to that on the screen, as well as a different video that you might like. Thanks for watching, and namaste.